Homelessness on college campuses, the new frontier of currency, and our reporter visits a revolutionary economic development zone in India, plus investigation into money and the midterms. I'm Martin Rather. This is The Underreported. The 2018 midterm elections show obvious signs of a Democratic wave. Political operatives are taking note of the fact that Democratic candidates are running approximately 20 percentage points above their 2016 numbers. Elections of Democratic governors in New Jersey and Virginia, plus a surprising Senate pickup in Alabama, have led to a record number of candidates for Congress on the Democratic side. Many of these candidates are raising shocking sums of money, despite it being the first run for elected office for many of them. Jon Ossoff, for instance, raised $23 million in his run for the House in Georgia. Overall, 145 Democratic challengers have raised more than $100,000 in their bids for Congress. This weekend, we sat down with one of them, Alex Triantafyllis, who's running for Congress in Texas' 7th Congressional District, to ask about running for office in 2018 and how he has raised $1 million, the most of any House challenger in Texas, in his first time seeking elected office. And you've raised roughly $1 million. How'd you get that? Talk us through your fundraising.
We've been working really hard. It's not easy to raise a lot of money as a first-time candidate, but we've been working really hard to do that. And we've ended up as the highest fundraising House challenger in Texas, and ended 2017 with more money in the bank than the 9-term incumbent that we aim to replace. But we did that while taking no money from corporate PACs and while getting the most of our contributions at $100 or less. So we've been proud of that as well.
Your opponents have said you're sort of nationalizing this campaign. You have a Washington, D.C. Campaign manager. You live outside of the district. Some have drawn comparisons to, say, Jon Ossoff, who ran in Georgia to mixed results. How do you feel about the claim that you're nationalizing this House race?
Well, as a born and raised Houstonian who actually grew up in the 7th District and who spent most of my life actually living in the 7th District and started a nonprofit there and work at a nonprofit there as well, to talk about me as anything but the Houston candidate, I think, is just plain wrong and inaccurate.
You don't raise $1 million without spending some time fundraising at least. If you had to give us a percentage or a rough estimate in terms of fundraising, what would you give?
The breakdown really varies depending on the week, and I would say, we try to spend the majority as a team. We're absolutely spending a huge portion of our time, and 90+% of our time talking to voters, and I try to spend as much of my time as possible as well.
And Triantafyllis has gained some attention for a media strategy which involves shorter pieces aired more frequently. Some, even, are in multiple languages. Here's an example of those, along with Triantafyllis' explanation for their importance in this year's cycle.
Alex Triantafyllis is a long name, so I go by Alex T. The T also stands for together.
Just making sure that, in this day and age when people want their information as quickly as possible, they want to get it in a way that's, packaged in a way that's sufficient, or I should say, succinct for them. Especially younger people want information quickly. We decided that we would shorten the ads.
Finally, with all of the money raised for a campaign, how can someone seeking elected office ensure fairness for all constituents once elected? Some who give money, they do so for good government. Others do so for access or influence. How will you, if elected, make sure that there's justice and equity in the campaign finance contributions that have gone to your campaign in terms of how you will govern?
We have a wide range of people supporting the campaign with a wide range of views, and we're proud of that because we're building a campaign that is a diverse coalition of supporters. The only thing we owe them is to work hard and get this thing done and win in November. As it relates to campaign finance reform, I think, like I said, we need to overturn Citizens United. We need to get the ability for candidates to self-fund out of politics, and I think that's a concern that gets often overlooked, but takes away from the democratic process as well. And we need to make sure that people feel like they can be, really the leading voice in politics again, and that members of Congress and other elected officials need to remember that their boss ultimately is the voters, and that they have to serve every single person in the district that they represent.
And now, on to our national correspondence. A new study identifies a surprising number of students who are homeless while enrolled in college. One school in Ohio is doing more to help students in need. Katie Filling of Penn State University has more on the story.
The University of Cincinnati's student government just passed a bill that will provide funds for student homelessness. According to a February 19, 2018 article from newsrecord.org, 6 students approached the Student Affairs Department in one semester saying they had a housing deficit and they had no place to go. Homelessness among college students is an issue you don't hear about very often, but it is absolutely happening on campuses just like this one. The problem, there's not much data on the subject, but according to a July 24, 2015 article from AOL News, FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, reported that there are about 58,000 homeless college students on campuses all over the country. A survey done by the City University of New York found that 1% of college undergrads live in shelters, 11% live in public housing, and 6% gets rental assistance. Many students also find themselves going hungry. The cliche that college students live on ramen noodles is a reality for many. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development says about 52% of students that lived off campus between 2009 and 2011 had incomes below the poverty line. The University of Cincinnati is taking steps to combat student homelessness and provide their students with the resources they might need. Reporting in State College, Pennsylvania, I'm Katie Filling for the Underreported.
Ahmedabad, a city in India, is developing its financial hub by becoming a global player in real estate. 1 million jobs could be created to stimulate India's economy. And reporting from the Gift City, our correspondent Camille Ward, on leave from Columbia University.
Gujarat International Finance Tech City, or GIFT City as the locals like to call it, located just outside of Ahmedabad in Gandhinagar, Gujarat, is a developing global financial hub. Inspired by China's special economic zones, as well as various financial districts around the world, including the London dockyards and La Défense in Paris, as well as the smart city Singapore, is stark for real estate development, as there are 62 million square feet of property ready for development, while only 2 million square feet of property have already been developed. Additionally, a McKinsey study revealed that 1 million jobs could be created by Gift City. This could stimulate India's economy. From Ahmedabad, I'm Camille Ward, the Underreported.
A blockchain electricity market will enable easier buying and selling in the UK economy. The organic energy market will change infrastructure and test new technology. Reporting from Yale University in Connecticut, Cameron Kaufman.
Electron, a UK-based company that specializes in blockchain trading and energy markets, is creating a new technology that some have labeled as an energy eBay. Electron CEO and co-founder Jojo Hubbard will be speaking at the Blockchain and Energy Conference in New York City on March 8th, where she will be talking about plans to unveil and test the new technology. Now, Electron is serving as both an innovator and an organizer throughout this process. They've actually pioneered this blockchain technology, which will create blockchain electricity market, easier for buying and selling. Additionally, though, they've organized a consortium of UK-based energy companies, including powerhouses such as Shell and EDF, which signed on just 2 weeks ago, and all the companies are on board with the process. The consortium is fundamentally agreed on changing the infrastructure of the British electricity market. Essentially, Electron believes that with blockchain technology, the energy market will become much more free-flowing and organic. And since it's blockchain, there is no need for a higher authority to regulate it. Furthermore, with this much more efficient market, consumers will get cheaper electricity costs, and it's rumored that the electricity grid will be much more responsive during times of high and mercurial demand. Coming to you here from the Yale School of Management in New Haven, Connecticut, I'm Cameron Kaufman, the Underreported.
And now, we'll end by looking back and then looking forward. This week in 1993, federal agents raided the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas. This would mark the start of a 2-month standoff, which ultimately led to the deaths of 82 cult members as well as 4 federal agents. Looking forward, on Wednesday, the students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School will return to school for the first time since the February 14th mass shooting, which killed 17. There's an open question as to the future of the school. Sandy Hook Elementary, the site of the 2012 Newtown shooting, was demolished and rebuilt. While no final decision has been made yet about the Stoneman Douglas School, students will return for a modified schedule for the first time on Wednesday. Thank you for joining us this week. If you have any stories that you believe are underreported, please leave a comment below, and we'll do our best to get back to you. For the Underreported, I'm Martin Rather. Have a great week.